law school experience is such that your first 4 years, at least historically, used to be quite intense, and then fifth year was not much. Okay, so at least in my time, this is 2000. I went to my final year in 2001, and first part of 2002. So you really kind of fifth year, you're not doing much, and I remember when I started working, it was such a dramatic learning curve. Because suddenly you go from no discipline, no responsibility, and I mean no responsibility when you're in hostels, to like complete responsibility. Like, literally you're living and dying with like some approval not coming through or some client not being happy about something. And also what's expected of you from your bosses and your senior colleagues. And at that time, my boss was Mr. Barucha, Mr. MP Barucha, and my colleagues, Ashwin Matthew, Cyrus, Shaneen, like, they expected a lot. And that thing of people expecting a lot from you, holding a high bar, suddenly it hits you like someone's thrown a bucket of cold water on your face. That was the time when people should have had high expectations from me, should have set the bar high. Where I was still young to reset and to know, okay, how do I manage myself? How do I conduct myself? How do I learn fast? And in many ways, one of the best things I think about that experience was that people were really supportive, but they were not just going to turn a blind eye to, they were just sab chalta hai, sab chalta hai. That was not there. And I think the result was that there was also an element of fear. I have to get this right. And in retrospect, when I look back and I realized that bar was held high and there was an element of you need to deliver, I found within myself the capacities that I have kept for the rest of my life. But that experience with a highly professional environment, with high quality people, holding you to a high bar, pushing you to learn, it was just golden. You can always look back and you can look at each other, smile, and you've shared an experience. And I think that's really beautiful. And I had the benefit of working both in the Peninsular office and the Lenton Chambers office before it was redone. I needed that experience with a highly professional outfit with incredibly talented and high quality colleagues to ensure that I could build those capacities to do my entrepreneurial work, to make sure that I could plan, make sure I could take responsibility, make sure I could handle stress, make sure I could handle people, make sure I could work with people. Discipline that had been inculcated. Get down, put it down, make your plan, execute, execute, execute. I was outside the country, and when I returned about 3 years back, I returned with this feeling, this deep conviction that having been an entrepreneur, in the law space as far back as the late 90s. I mean, we started LST in 99. And then, Rainmaker, which became Milo and Bahura, and, and now Agami. But that journey had convinced me that we needed a lot more entrepreneurship in law and justice. Sometimes we're not used to hearing the combination of entrepreneurship and law and justice. The world of practice dominates it so much that we know practicing law and justice, but we don't know what it means to entrepreneur in law and justice. You don't think that there are startups offering ODR, offering first level legal services, doing online documentation, signing, government entitlements. I mean, there's a world out there. So that was the feeling. And at that time, me and a very dear friend of mine, who's also an Amarchand alum, also it's amazing. Both the founders of Agami are AMSS alum. And so we had been talking about this, and we had this thing. So that's when we set up Agami. And the vision of Agami is to exponentially increase change making and entrepreneurship in our systems of law and justice, so that we witness a sweeping change in all the areas that are so far not working. And recently someone was using this language, which I'm going to use. Can we the seeds, the soil, and the climate the seeds being the ideas, the entrepreneurs, the change makers, the soil being the conditions that help those to grow and thrive, and the climate being the overall mahal, as they say, so that people feel law and justice, no problem, isko bhi solve kar sakte. Either it is helping find the seats, whether it's the Agami prize, which we do every 2 years, whether it's some of the innovation challenges we do, or it's about preparing the soil, unlocking more funding, unlocking more people. And I think what CAM has done with Prarambh is phenomenal, because you have India's leading law firm coming and saying, let's accelerate legal tech, let's take responsibility for it, not just tech that supports us, but in general. So those kinds of steps are the soil, right? Like preparing the soil. And then the climate is the policy climate, the sense of mindsets, like I said, the attitude of people towards the law. So I think it's going to take a while, but all of our work sort of goes towards addressing one of those things. Maybe it's used to, I have a 4.5-year-old daughter. As you probably figured from when I was getting onto Zoom, her name is Leela. So she is, definitely keeps us very busy. My wife is actually Brazilian. So it's always great because you have someone in your life who comes from a totally different culture. As a result, I had to learn Portuguese, and I've spent many months in Brazil and walked the streets there in small towns, not like a big city, and looked around and said, wow, the world is also like this. So that's a little bit about family. Moved back to India moved back really because I love my country, and I want my most creative energy and my all that I've got to give to go into this soil. I feel a strong sense of relationship, and I just that to me it's personal. But I love my work, but I also just sort of blow off steam by reading. Right now, I heard that they were gonna show. They I think put out Suitable Boy on Netflix. So I decided to reread the old before I see the Netflix show. I decided to reread the book and just enjoying it. It feels so different to read it when you're in 2020 than back when I read it in 98, 99. And love English detective fiction. So whether beginning with Sherlock Holmes, and so every once in a while I'll go back, and also as a result Indian detective stuff, like I'm a huge Bhumkesh Bakshi fan. And love watching and playing tennis. So that keeps me active. I can't go to the gym. Definitely prioritize in a very big way my inner work, because life has taught me that the real capacity is your inner capacity, your ability to be resilient, your ability to be established and balanced. To me, I think that's one thing I do want to share with everyone, that after 22 years of really wild entrepreneurial experiences, building, breaking, failing, succeeding, different countries, leading different teams, if there's one thing I have learned, is that the single most important capacity is your inner capacity. And to put it, you have to find your way of going into that inner capacity, whether it may be prayer for someone, it may be meditation for someone, whatever it is, but deepening your inner capacity. I think that, and that through the lockdown also, it was so important because it gives you clarity. Clarity is a very precious commodity in life. Clarity about everything. What is your life about? What do you want to do? I think if I have to think about things I feel for, I think a couple of things that I care about the most is, young girls, in terms of, I have a daughter. So, I'd like to see a world where young girls are, get the best opportunities and are taken care of. At some level, I think there's a deep humility that is missing. And I do care about making sure that not just young people, but everyone is able to really understand the role of environment and the role of things around you with yourself. So I think those are two things that I particularly care about. There's a kind of advice that I would give as a friend, as a peer, to learn and enjoy all of that. But I think the thing I want to share is something that makes, I know it's an imperfect thought, but I'm going to share that, which is that, look, the smartest law students law graduates in the country join one of the top law firm by most estimations. And so obviously it's a collection of incredibly smart, capable, creative people. I think I would like to push everyone to step into the full potential that they have. And I don't just mean being great corporate lawyers or great litigators. It's the full potential of you as someone who can leave behind a better world.